SARS-CoV-2. That's right, COVID-19. And today we are going to dive into this topic. And we're going for a walk instead of a drive on this episode of the All Around Growth podcast. Welcome to the show, everyone. This is episode number 165 of a show that provides insight and tools to building the life and homesteads of our dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Today is Saturday, September 7th, 2021. And like I said, we are going to talk about SARS-CoV-2, otherwise known as COVID-19. Now, first of all, I don't particularly want to talk about this. However, based on my involvement in my local community, I have no choice but to address it. Now, up until this point, and I mean today, Saturday, August 7th, 2021, I've really been able to effectively avoid engaging with most people about this, because this topic, this issue, and everything involving SARS-CoV-2 has become incredibly politicized and divisive. And I'm really only interested in talking about it with people who these issues directly, influence and impact my life, and that's not most people. So I have chosen to just try to avoid dialogue regarding this topic with most people, and that's been nice. And the industry in which I'm employed is the green industry, and that was considered essential. And during all of the shutdowns and everything else, I was always able to maintain my employment. And whatever happened with the economy didn't really affect our sector. I mean, a lot of people were staying home, but people were still spending money. A lot of people were getting around to landscaping projects that they'd been putting off for a long time. And those plants need to come from somewhere, and a lot of garden centers that were selling these plants, and places like Home Depot, they buy from wholesalers like us that produce plants in bulk. So while garden center sales increased, subsequently so did our own sales. And we had I'm less involved in dialogue about numbers and things like that than I used to be, but from what I understand, we had a good year last year. Now, generally speaking, the people that I associate with were not really impacted by SARS-CoV-2. I mean, one could argue, and certainly my mom might argue otherwise because she's a nurse, but whatever. We all got through it. Here we are. And I mean, I don't want to dismiss it. I believe I actually had it in February of 2020, prior to the pandemic being shut down in full force. I was sick unlike I'd ever been in my life. I got a cold. Not knowing anything otherwise, I presumed I had a cold. But looking back at the symptoms once everything had been going on, yes, I think that that's what I had. And based on my experience, other people that have had it, and the varying degrees in which they experienced the symptoms that they had, that's still the argument that I maintain, is that that's what this is. A very severe cold with a certain set of symptoms that seems to affect different segments of the population a little bit more severely than others. Now, I don't claim to be a medical expert, and in this show, I'm not really going to provide links to anything I speak of either. Now, it would probably behoove me to do that, and might make this a little bit more credible, but quite frankly, I'm not sure I care. I'm not interested in credibility. I'm not doing this, recording this to make any kind of argument or state my case. Everything on this show is my opinion on this matter and my response to those who've sought my opinion on it. And that is a pretty good segue into the people that are seeking my opinion on some things going on involving COVID-19. And that is the church council of, the church that I'm a member of and the church that I attend. Now, a little backstory on that. I began attending this church in 2018, and I decided to become a member in 2019. A lot of what drove my interest in attending church was my attending Financial Peace University in 2017 and 2018, and it felt good to be around a community of people that were trying to improve their lives, in this case with regard to finance specifically. And I wanted more I wanted more of that in life. So I decided to go on the hunt for a church home. And I found the United Church of Christ on the square in Medina, which has a long standing history, and it's a beautiful church with a great community. And I began attending there routinely in 2018, and I became a member in 2019. And by that time, I had still been attending Financial Peace University at another church, and I wanted to give back and participate in my own church community. So shortly after becoming a member, I reached out to the church and asked them what it would take to host a class. And they ran it by their various teams, and before I knew it, I was getting the rundown on the audio video system of the whatever that room is called, the community room, and I was leading a course on Financial Peace University or coordinating a course. And that kicked off in January of 2020 and wrapped up. Our last class was right before St. Patrick's Day and right before things had shut down, and there were actually only a few people that had decided to make it to that final class. Now, let's fast forward a few months. 2020 was underway, and the current treasurer had been sick, and he passed away in 2020. And seeing as I was of a financial mindset leading these Financial Peace University courses, they asked me to step in and be the interim treasurer. And I thought about it a little bit for a few days, and not fully understanding or grasping the depths of what those responsibilities would entail, I accepted and realized that this was probably I should just pay attention to what's going on in life and kind of what's being presented to me, and give back, and in the process learn, and that might benefit me down the road in any number of ways. And so that was earlier this year. I've only been a treasurer officially since January or February of 6 months ago, and 7 months ago. And I'm very new to the council, and once I became the treasurer, I became a member of the church council, a voting member at that. And that's been an interesting, it's really been rather uneventful, quite frankly. Yet there's involvement on the church council meetings, which are monthly, and there's lots of discussion about the differing operational elements within the church, and it's been nice to get some insight into the background of the church and the history of the church, and working a little bit closer in conjunction with the church and with the new financial director, because the old financial director retired. So there's been a lot of change, and it's been good. And now with and recently, over the past few months, everybody's awareness, if you will, regarding COVID seems to have waned a little bit, and things have gone back to normal, for lack of a better term. Things have opened up. People are taking vacations. Things are good, but not so fast. It looks like things aren't quite over yet with regard to COVID. We've got the Delta variant, and soon enough there will be most likely another variant or some other issue, perhaps monkeypox or some other sort of exotic disease, virus, or fungal bacterial issue. Who knows? It's hard to say. But it looks like the CDC is updating its guidelines yet again based on this new information that we have regarding this particular strain or variant of the coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that the guidelines have changed or been updated or revised, or however you want to frame it. But this is something that's happened more than once over the past 12 to 18 months during this period of time where we've all been dealing with SARS-CoV-2, otherwise known as COVID-19, as a society. And with these updated guidelines, for a while church was shut down, and as things began to open, we subsequently had a reopening team. And it appears as that the reopening team or some group within the church has reached out to the moderator of the council and communicated their desire to have council vote on something. And rather than try to explain it, because it's a little difficult for me to understand, I wanted to share it with you. I don't think there's anything here that is overly revealing, that would compromise anybody's privacy. No names will be shared. And it is a letter that's being proposed to be sent to the congregation, so it's something that will be public anyways. And since I'm not going into specifics with any names, I wanted to share the experience with you so that you can hear my response to it and why, so that it may potentially aid you in having a challenging conversation, because oftentimes conversations about SARS-CoV-2 and or COVID-19 are challenging due to the politicized nature of it and our inability to have common, civil, decent dialogue with one another about issues that we may not agree 100% on. So, with that said, here is the email that I received. Please see this message from the council moderator. If you are one of the 11 council representatives that vote, see the list below, please respond to the moderator with your vote of yes, no, or abstain. And what we are voting on is as follows. Please forward this to council as soon as possible. Thanks. Council, the reopening team met Monday night to discuss what the church's response should be to the CDC's most recent guidance regarding wearing masks while indoors, even if vaccinated. The consensus among the reopening team, the moderators, and the pastor is that a message should be communicated to the congregation that states, while we are not requiring masks to be worn when attending services, we are recommending that they be worn even for individuals who have been vaccinated. There are a few reasons for this recommendation, with the emphasis on number 3. 1. Transmission rates are on the rise, putting Medina County in one of the categories for which the CDC recommends wearing masks indoors. 2. Data is showing that vaccinated individuals are more capable of transmitting the Delta variant of the virus than the original version of the virus. And 3. The goal of recommending masks be worn when attending indoor services is to allow the church to continue to be open and have in-person services, at the same time keeping everyone safe and healthy. A letter will be sent to the congregation. The paragraph below, along with the reasons above for the recommendation, will be in that letter. We want to get this letter out as soon as possible. We are asking for your thoughts and ultimately for your approval of this recommendation and of sending this letter back to the congregation. Please respond back to this email as soon as possible. And the letter to the congregation would be as follows. Quote, let each of you not look to your own interest, but to the interests of others. Close quote. We read that in Philippians chapter 2, verse 4. The CDC is currently recommending that individuals, even those who have been vaccinated, once again wear masks when indoors, if they are in an area of substantial or high transmission. Medina County is currently at the substantial level of transmission. While we are not requiring it, we are recommending that everyone, including individuals who have been vaccinated, wear a mask when attending indoor church services. This would include children ages 5 and up. This is an effort to protect our children and those who are not able to receive the vaccine. Please understand that it is our goal that by taking this precaution, we will be able to continue in-person worship services and keep our church family and community healthy. Finally, we urge everyone who can to get vaccinated as soon as possible. Thanks. The moderator of the council. Now, the first two responses to this email were an immediate yes. One without any further comment, and one yes with some dialogue about additional actions that might need to be taken due to coffee hours and things like that. Just working out logistics should council decide to move in that manner. Now, this email was first sent out Thursday evening, August 5th at 9 p.m. And the first two replies came in at 6 a.m. and about 7:30 a.m., something like that. At least the replies to all. People were directed to submit their votes to the moderator. And by the time I had seen this email chain come through, it was mid-morning on Friday, yesterday. Now, I had taken the day off yesterday, no podcast that morning, and when I read this, I spent most of the day thinking about how I would respond and how I would vote, and really thinking about what it was that I was voting on, because that seemed kind of unclear to me. So I read it and I reread it and I shared it with friends and family and loved ones and some Telegram groups, and I got some good feedback. And after spending some time yesterday at the county fair with my girlfriend, I got home, talked about it a little bit further with my parents, or my mom at least, and decided to begin crafting my response. And by 8:38 p.m. last evening, this was the response that I delivered. I vote no. Initially, I was going to abstain from a vote because it seemed unclear to me what we were actually voting on. Quote, "A letter will be sent to the congregation," close quote. This had been made clear. It seems as though feedback is being sought more over than a vote, but further reading and deliberation led me to vote no. Here are some additional details why. I joined this church for several reasons, one of which is the community that so welcomes and loves me. In return, I felt compelled to participate within the community by giving back and serving. It was the people that solidified my understanding of what it means to be part of a, quote, united and uniting church, close quote. Unfortunately, I feel as though we have also fallen victim to the polarization and division that has resulted from SARS-CoV-2. I do not wish to dismiss the virus and its impact, rather to acknowledge the very real results of it over the last 12 to 18 months. Together, we are doing exactly that, providing feedback on the following statement proposed for delivery to the congregation. The CDC is currently recommending that individuals, even those who have been vaccinated, once again wear masks when indoors. if they are in an area of substantial or high transmission. Medina County is currently at the substantial level of transmission. While we are not requiring it, we are recommending that everyone, including individuals who have been vaccinated, wear a mask when attending indoor church services. This would include children ages 5 and up. This is in an effort to protect our children and those who are not able to receive the vaccine. Please understand that it is our goal that by taking this precaution, we will be able to continue in-person worship services and keep our church family and community healthy. Finally, we urge everyone who can to get vaccinated as soon as possible. Close quote. As a Congregationalist, I cannot, in good faith, support the sentence concluding the previous statement. Quote, finally, we urge everyone who can to get vaccinated as soon as possible. Close quote. As a Congregationalist, I support a united and uniting church that respects our freedom of choice, despite our differences. Moreover, as a council member, I think it is one thing for the council to communicate what the CDC guidelines are. It is another to take it upon ourselves to urge the congregation to participate in medical procedures. Subsequently, I vote no on sharing a letter to the congregation written with the inclusion of this statement. I believe we should leave the decision to attend services to those attending and respect the decisions of those who opt to stay home. Moreover, we've taken active steps to improve the streaming capabilities of the services for those who are not comfortable in person. As Congregationalists, I believe now more than ever the need to respect or the need for respect among those whose opinions differ than ours. Thank you. Rob Kaiser. Now, as I record this Saturday, August 7th at 3:18 p.m. exactly in this moment, I have yet to receive or read any response that anyone has provided to my email. Though, in all honesty, it doesn't really warrant a response. It was more of a soapbox type of response by me to everyone that was delivered that message. I don't know how it's going to be received, seeing as I'm not only a relatively new member to council, but also a relatively new member to the church. Now, in closing, I'm not a medical professional. I just speak from my own experience and share my own opinions. And I try to do so in a respectful manner. It's challenging because not everyone wants to reciprocate that idea of listening to differing opinions and having dialogue about them in a respectful manner. But no matter what happens with regard to SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, I'm a proponent of freedom in all ways. The objective of this show is to provide insight and tools to building the life and homestead of our dreams. I do that through interaction with you, in large part through the Telegram group, which you can find at t.me/allaroundgrowth. or if you've got the Telegram Messenger app on your phone. Looks like we've got a helicopter above us, so bear with the sound. But you can find the Telegram app through, or the Telegram group rather, on your internet browser at t.me/allaroundgrowth, or if you've got the Telegram Messenger app on your phone, tablet, or computer, you can just search the groups for All Around Growth. If you're not interested in yet another chat group, but you are interested in just updates and links to podcast episodes when they are released, we have a broadcast channel as well, t.me/allaroundgrowthpodcast. In the show notes, there will be a link to this letter in its entirety, my response back to the moderator and the council, along with other links to all of the episodes ever recorded for easy access, and also a link special for you Apple podcast listeners, iTunes users. In all capital letters, you'll see a link to click here to rate and review the podcast. Once you're signed in, just leave a rating if you feel so inclined. A written review as well. That certainly helps the algorithms and helps expose the show to new people who might not otherwise see it. And speaking of exposing the show to new people who might not otherwise see it, give it a rating on your podcast player of choice, or share it with a loved one or through social media. There's an easy way to do that through the show notes. Take you to the website, and all manners of ways to share it throughout social media are there. If you have any questions or feedback for me, you can shoot me an email at allaroundgrowth@gmail.com. That works. Or even better, you can participate in the Telegram group with us, and I continually log all sorts of ideas there for future show topics, and would definitely love to see you there. Last but not least, we have a Patreon page. Admittedly, it's not real active yet. I created it with the intent, I created it with good intentions. And you know what they say about that? There's many a road paved with good intentions. But if you want to be a Patreon subscriber, check out the show notes. You can see it patreon.com/allaroundgrowth. There are links there in order to do that. And more content will be there for those subscribers as time goes on. I am working on it. And that's it, my friends. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you hearing me out on this interesting subject known as SARS-CoV-2, aka COVID-19. I know and I understand that it is a very highly politicized and polarizing topic. It doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. So, in order for it not to be, choose wisely who you engage and how you do it. And when you do, I wish you luck, because it's not easy. But whatever your opinion is, when given an opportunity to communicate that to someone, do so in a polite way, in a respectful way, but be firm, be fair, be polite, but be free. Take care, everyone. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.